I just I don't understand why they can't get these movies right. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel once again. I am Robert Storm. So I just got back from seeing Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. It should be called Resident Evil Welcome to What the Fuck Am I Watching? I'm not a big fan of this movie at all, to be honest with you. Is it the worst thing I've seen? No, it's not the worst thing. It's better than Mortal Kombat 2021. It's better than the new Mortal Kombat movie. I'll give you that. They managed to capture the atmosphere and the setting of Resident Evil, but I think they started getting too ambitious. And what I mean by that is this movie is a combination of the first game and the second game, and they took the plot points and they mushed it together. Where this movie would have been much, much better if they would have just focused on the first game, focus on the mystery behind Umbrella, and have our characters try to find out and figure out what's going on. I thought the movie would be much more stronger if they would have done that, but instead, since Resident Evil 2 is arguably one of the most popular Resident Evil games, they really wanted to shoehorn elements of Resident Evil 2 to basically sell the audience on that game so they can get those hardcore fans in there. And what I felt like was we were getting a good, true interpretation of either game by them doing that. The characters in this movie I thought were not the characters at all. That was not Leon S. Kennedy. Like everything, like not even remotely Leon. You know, this guy, one, doesn't look like Leon, doesn't act like Leon. He has a drinking problem. He's dropping F-bombs left and right. Claire Redfield, Chris Redfield being in a orphanage, Raccoon orphanage, and having ties with William Birkin. That's weird. Jill Valentine being a lovesick puppy over Wesker. Wesker not acting anything like Wesker. Just overall, none of the characters were the characters. A few of the characters looked like each other. Like Chris Redfield looked like Chris Redfield, you know, but other than that, that was really it. And the thing, the biggest problem I have with this movie is you can't go into this movie if you have never played the video games, if you are a first-time viewer, don't know anything about the source material, and be able to leave this movie knowing exactly what the hell is going on. Because they don't really go in on what the T virus is, what the G virus is. Why are they introducing the T and the G virus both in the same movie? Like, introduce the T virus, explain what the T virus is, but no, you wanted to go into the G virus with this movie too because you had to shoehorn that Resident Evil 2 plot into there. So they really went into all these different things, and they didn't really explain anything on what Umbrella is, what Umbrella wants to do, what is Umbrella doing with people, what's going on with Raccoon City. They took Raccoon City and made it a raccoon ghost town, right? It was like a little country town. It wasn't even a city. The CGI was really bad. The liquor, though, was really, really good, but there was only one liquor. There was only like one or two dogs, and I think it was only that one dog, and it was just like, you know, they really didn't like. It was you could tell when they filmed this movie, it was a low budget movie. They took ideas of the video games, but they couldn't really capitalize and make them work. Like, you know, Bravo team and Alpha team. It was like Bravo team was like two regular cops, and Chris and Jill and the Stars unit just referred to themselves as RPD, even though they had a Stars emblem on their shirts. But they never really mentioned Stars or who Stars is and what Stars is. Right? Claire coming back into town in the video game was to find her missing brother, Chris, after the events of the mansion. But that was completely different. So much of this movie, they tried to capitalize and stay true to source material, but they got it all wrong. And at the end, it just wasn't really done well. Say what you want about the Paul W.S. Anderson movies, and for no way am I ever condoning those movies or saying those movies are masterpieces or this movie is worse than those movies, because you can't compare like 5 to 6 films of the Paul W.S. Anderson series to the one Resident Evil movie reboot. Like, I'll compare the first movie to this movie, but everybody honestly believes, and I'm with them, that the Paul W.S. Anderson movies are all trash. Each one that came out, they got considerably worse, each one. But I can't say the same thing for this movie because there's only that one film. So I will compare this movie to the first Paul W.S. Anderson movie, and I thought the first Paul W.S. Anderson movie was a much better movie than this movie. Yes, we had characters that we know, but they weren't characters done right. They were characters in name only. Say what you want about the Paul W.S. Anderson, Jill and Claire and Chris and Leon, but they were pretty much those characters. They just weren't the vocal point because they shoehorned Alice in there. But if I'm going to look at the first Resident Evil Paul W.S. Anderson movie and Welcome to Raccoon City, I much prefer the first Paul W.S. Anderson movie. You can look at that movie and take the video game stories out of it and be like, well, you can use this as a prequel to the events leading up to Raccoon City, to the first mansion. This is the prequel to Jill and Chris going to that mansion. And you look at it from that point, you get to see the Hive, you get to see the Red Queen, you get to see what Umbrella is doing, why the T-Virus is so important, what people can do with the T-Virus on the black market. There are moments in that movie when the Red Queen just goes, you're all going to die down here, or when that laser grid takes out that guy. Like, there are moments of greatness in the Paul W.S. Anderson movie that we do not have in this movie. And this movie is just like a bunch of characters that have no chemistry, that don't act anything like their characters from the video games, are just together, thrown in a world, and they're just trying to escape Raccoon City. That is it. It's not a good movie at all. It's better than Mortal Kombat 2021, but that's not saying a lot either. So for what it is, I think it's okay. Would I be willing to see a sequel? Sure, if they actually do a sequel, I would give it a benefit of the doubt, but they're going to have to fix a lot of the things that they messed up in this movie. One being the characters not being the characters. Leon Kennedy not being Leon. Same thing with Jill. Jill is my favorite character, and this character was not Jill. She was Jill in name only. Paul W.S. Anderson and Resident Evil Apocalypse was a much more accurate Jill than they did in this. Paul W.S. Anderson took a lot of liberties from the games, but did something new. This movie tried to take a lot of liberties from the game and try to be the game, but then they just botched it. And at the end, we just got a movie that wasn't really done very well. So that's just my thoughts on it, guys. I didn't like the movie at all, but I want to know what you guys think. Leave those comments in the comment box below. And until next time, as always, I'm Robert Storms, and that's my opinion. Later.